Welcome. My name is Frank Walisimbi. Welcome to Uganda First. This is Uganda First, and on this show we discuss patriotism in its detail and try to find out how can we use patriotism as a country to achieve development, to achieve a country that is one as in one people, in that sense. So this is our fourth edition. You remember last week we were here on Thursday discussing again in detail issues pertaining patriotism. This Thursday we're going to look at deepening patriotism for socio-economic transformation. That is our topic today. In studio we have Mr. Odauk Paul. Odauk Paul is the Deputy Principal at the National Farmers Leadership Center. He is with Mr. Gidongo Derek. Derek is a civil engineer based in Mbale. He's a member of Patriotic Youth Volunteers and also a national youth mobilizer. Exactly. All right. Yes, Paul and Derek are going to help us break down this topic of deepening patriotism for socio-economic transformation. You know, each time we come here to talk about patriotism, I love that we first define it for the people, to understand, so that they follow the conversation properly. And online, by the way, you can use hashtag Uganda First on Twitter and on Facebook. We are live, and YouTube. You can join the conversation. But on Twitter, hashtag Uganda First. You'll be part of us here. And the number that you can use to send WhatsApp or SMS, as we know it, the traditional SMS, will be displayed later on screen. Paul, good to see you.
Thank you. And good morning, viewers. I am called Odauk Paul. I like it in that order.
Odauk Paul.
Because I'm Odauk first, and then later on
you became Paul.
I work with the National Farmers Leadership Center.
Mm-hmm.
It's a new institution which was put up in a place called Kampiringisa.
Kampiringisa in Mpigi.
And when I say Kampiringisa, everybody knows it for the rehabilitation center. We're just neighboring the rehabilitation center. All right.
Yeah. Okay, Derek.
Yeah.
How is Mbale? You came from Mbale this morning?
Yeah, definitely.
A great patriot.
You can see.
Thank you for dedicating the time. How is Mbale? How are the youth back there?
Mbale is the best place to live in this country. Sometimes my people call it, they say Mbale is better than Uganda.
Oh.
So in that case, I think you understand. As I said, my name is...
We used to answer a question during school time, which is the cleanest town in Uganda. Mbale.
Exactly.
But things changed. I don't know why.
No, we are now back to the track.
All
and
right.
we are rehabilitating it.
Okay.
And we shall be there once again. So I am Gidongo, as they said. I like saying Gidongo. The other name I do not like so much to put it up because it doesn't define me in any way. Sometimes I fear that I might be in a park someday and a white man is moving with his dog and they call Derek. Then I turn at the same time with the dog. They'll never find.
Do you plan to let go of the name?
Because it is on my documents, I have nothing to do. I'll keep moving with it, but in public, I rarely use it.
Okay.
Yes.
So you prefer Gidongo?
Yes, Gidongo. You address me with that, I'll be very happy. I am a member of Patriotic Youth Volunteers, where I am acting as the chairperson. It is a group an organization that we started up as alumni for patriotism. And as we speak, it is we are seated in Mbale at a place called the Mount Elgon Cultural Museum. I don't know whether you are aware about it.
I've heard about it.
It is a new thing, and it is coming up. So we are there trying to partner, and we hope that we shall be moving. At the same time, I am a national youth mobilizer, as you rightly said it. We keep mobilizing youth, people that identify with us, who think this country should change, but we tell them how do we have to change this country and how do you move about that.
That is it.
So since that is the direction we want to take, we are really glad to be here, and we hope that we shall try to disseminate the same information.
How do you define patriotism for these young people you interact with?
Patriotism, in its own definition in the in those dictionaries, it's about love for one's country. But because we have to make these people understand what love really means,
the broader meaning,
yes,
of,
the
of
broader
that
meaning
love.
in as far as Uganda is concerned.
Yes.
Ours is about self-awareness first. If you can be aware of who you really are, then you accept it. Then after accepting, that's when you realize a challenge that you are in as an individual who has accepted the situation you're in. Then you will change it. So for some of us who come from humble backgrounds, we learn to accept who we really are. Then after accepting, we realize that now we must change this situation. So as us, we encourage young people to be self-aware. Then after being aware of yourself, then the bid for national consciousness now comes in. If I am aware of myself, then how do I change this country? I'm aware that in Karamoja there is gold. I am aware that in Hoima we are having oil. I am aware that the country is developing. There are new cities. Now, what is my stand in this country? How am I going to contribute to change this country? If I am poor, how am I becoming better each and every day? So that awareness is what we keep giving young people.
Okay, I hear you. How to position yourself to be a part of a part of development, a part of the national dream.
Yes.
Or the
exactly.
I don't know what's your definition. What I've realized that everybody who comes here, they have their own way of putting patriotism to their audience. You know, but at the end, you're all arriving at the same thing.
Just like
that's what's important. That at the end of the day, we have a meeting of ideas. But Gidongo has ably defined patriotism. He has talked about the word meaning something to do with the fatherland. Actually, that's the origin. Patria, you know, fatherland. And love for that fatherland. This was way back in the early civilizations of the Greeks and the Romans and so on.
Okay.
So the word moved, and eventually now it's in English as patriotism, patriot. And this is a concept which defines the relationship between the individual and his surroundings that he considers, that he defines as his home. And you look at the home in the broader context, not the immediate physical area of a board, but the home in the totality of society and its organizations, including the political entity that defines what you call your home. And in this case, we are talking about Uganda. We all know that Uganda was a creation, not of we ourselves or our ancestors, but of another political entity that came here and put us together and said, you are now a state called Uganda.
And they claimed to protect us.
Of course, the purpose was nothing to do with helping us. It was about protecting us from other thieves. Because you ask yourself, protecting us from
what?
who? Because we were here protecting ourselves. Definitely it means there was some interest, the interests that were competing for us, and then some group said, this is ours. So we're protecting this one from the others. Now, that process of creation of Uganda meant that there was no consultation with the people in this place. So many questions that naturally were in the minds of the people who inhabited this area. And some of these questions linger up to now. One of the key issues is the issue of identity. Because when you talk about patriotism, you're talking about feelings of love towards a certain entity, in this case country. And it means therefore there must be an element of identifying with that country. And these are the things that challenge us. Because there are many debates still going on, even today. There are people who are wondering whether we should exist as we are. There are other people who are saying, look, as the bigger definition of all of us is that we're Africans, and I belong to that group. We're all Africans. We were not consulted when we were parceled out into these small things, and therefore we should look at ourselves as we were created by God, that we're Africans, and we should aspire towards...
Borders, as we know them, don't matter to you.
Really, why should they? You know, it's strange. When you meet people, for instance, the Samia, from southeastern Uganda. We in Uganda here say the Samia are Ugandans. But you'll be surprised, there are problem also Samia in Kenya, who are Kenyans than the Ugandans. And there are families that are split.
Many
we
of
have
them
a famous case of a former president in Kenya, Moody
border communities
whose brother
with that.
was a minister in Uganda. His brother is a Ugandan, the other one is a Kenyan. What sense do you make out of that? We have situations all along our borders. The Acholi are more in South Sudan than in Uganda. There are 7 counties of Lur in Congo. And until recently, when we subdivided, there were 3 in Uganda. So there are more Lurs in Congo, and so on. It goes all around the border. Of course, the most notorious example, notorious because of the politics that goes with it, is that the colonialists, when they split the southwestern border, they split the people. There is a people known as the Banyarwanda. Then they create a country called Rwanda. And now there is an issue. All Banyarwanda, citizens of Rwanda, or are there Banyarwanda who are citizens of Uganda? You know, all these are creations of that process. But here we are. Yeah. We must find a way of aspiring towards what we want to be, despite all these challenges. And I think the spirit that we are promoting in patriotism development will go a long way, because it's anchored centrally on the idea of love. And this is not an inward-looking love. We're talking
love
about
of country.
Love of country and love of all
must be
around
seen to be exercised.
Love of everything that makes sense to you and defines you as an individual. So it radiates from you and covers all that is around you, including, therefore, your country, your neighbors, your continent of Africa. So it is not an inward-looking concept. Patriotism is an outward-looking. So if you are to build from the smaller units to the bigger, patriotism will help you, because it is a mindset that opens you up and you look at the bigger picture. Now, to specifically talk about how do we deepen it.
Deepening patriotism, yes. So socio-economic transformation. Maybe to define it for a person who is seeing it for the first time. I know many have heard about it, but in simple terms, it is to progress from a country that largely depends on agriculture to to other sectors, a country that can depend on other sectors aside from agriculture alone, and that is largely our vision.
I would put it a little bit
better than that.
Maybe not better, but different. I would say this is about transformation is about moving from a lower state of development, a lower stage of livelihood, to a better and higher situation. I would summarize it that way. Whether you do that purely or from an agricultural point of view, it's possible to be transformed but remain agricultural. That's also possible. However, history shows that every society that has developed from simpler to more complex and desirable forms has had to go through some kind of agricultural stage in which that agriculture is transformed, modernized, and through the modernization of agriculture giving rise to manufactories and eventually manufacturing, and the whole society then begins to emerges from being purely agro to an industrial society. However, in our case, and like it is scientifically correct, you always start from the known and move into the unknown.
The unknown, sure.
And for us, the majority of our people are engaged in agriculture. We're blessed with these fertile soils and wonderful climate. And so it makes sense for us to begin the journey by focusing on how do we improve our agriculture so as to improve ourselves as a society. Unfortunately, as we talk, only 2.3% of our agricultural families earn money from agriculture. You know, I always get...
where is the rest that participates in this
They're there
sector?
in agriculture, but they're not earning money. And that's the contradiction. We say 80% of our population is in agriculture, yes, but only 2.3% of those earn money. In other words, it's more of subsistence, which means real agriculture, what the president refers to as a chidachonka, you know, that you work for only the stomach. But not for income, and therefore being able to use agriculture to propel yourself into other areas of livelihood that you desire. Now, this is the struggle. This is the challenge. How do we move the vast 97% of our subsistence farmers? How do we get them out of this state of subsistence and they begin earning a livelihood in the real economic sense out of agriculture? And some of us are looking at it from a point of, can we tweak the minds of our people? Because the way a person looks at the world determines a lot about how that person will do things. If this person thinks that the world is too complicated for him or her to understand, then it's likely that he will sit down and give up. But if this person is imbued with confidence and determination, knowing in the knowledge that, yes, I can be better, that person has the energy and will have the drive to move and push themselves out of a certain state. So patriotism really is about building that confidence in that person, that I belong here, I am so and so, and this is mine, and this is me, I must do this, and it's me. That's the beginning of what makes sense when you're talking about patriotism. That I, as a person, I am imbued with the ability to transform myself.
And they have a clear vision of where they're supposed to.
Now, once they have the
arrive.
confidence, then they can be guided. That's where leadership comes in, to provide a vision. We already have a national vision, but I think we need to reduce it down to the grassroots level, so everybody understands what the personal component of that vision is.
Gidongo, Dawook has given a good explanation of this whole concept, deepening patriotism for socio-economic transformation. You've heard him, but now tweaking the minds of the people, especially the young people. Because not every young person, as we speak now, is going to participate in agriculture. Things are turning around.
Exactly.
Like I was saying, that we have to move away from this economy that largely depends on agriculture. You hear less than 3% actually earn. We want now to look at services, ICT. We want to look at things that are different from agriculture completely.
Exactly.
You know, so how can young people be, you know, how can the minds of young people be tuned to accept this path that the country wants to take?
My conscience tells me young people have already been tricked, but there is just something that lacked way back. You know, stages of development are different, and at every stage of development there are certain productive forces that keep coming up. This one is phased out, another one comes in. Now, if you can remember very well, between around 1991 to around 2005, people who were studying courses that would lead them to become cows, to become chiefs of parishes and sub-counties and all that, to be administrators. Such courses were so marketable that every parent, actually they were so paying that whoever was a sub-county chief was almost a real chief of then the early stages, who would actually impose taxes and what. But now this one is paid to to become a chief. Now, between that time, somebody who could go for such a course was a god in their village, because they were assumed to have studied so much. So they would give direction. In that sense, you found that most parents and almost all our communities concentrated so much. Like, if it means me selling my cows, my land, or anything, I have to take my child to school and they become a cow. Or if not, they must become something in the leadership.
In the line of administration.
Yes, in the line of administration.
Yes.
And that thing kept on. And between that time that I've said is when government embarked on vaccinating people. And the lifespan has grown. People up to now, some say 45, but it is around 63.
Expectancy.
Yes, expectancy. So it has grown, you know. And then people are still in the mind that whenever somebody goes for public administration, SWASA or what, then they are going to make it in life. We are stuck in the back. We are stuck still to the solution of those problems. We have not yet evolved. But it is this situation that we are in today where you realize 78% of our people, or our youths, that you realize many of them have studied such courses. They are not employable. They have no skills. They have only learned to come and concentrate on people, to give them direction. But really, there is no work. If you are in a village, probably now there are around 15 or 20 graduates in that village. Now, it is just a village.
LC1.
LC1 is an LC1 village. Now let's go to a parish. If there are 15 here, in a parish around 8 villages. So that means around 90 graduates in that place.
Unemployed.
Now, they have all graduated, but they are all eyeing the job of a chief. One chief in that parish. Imagine such a situation. If it is one chief, what is the probability of that chief dying before you take the job? So
is the problem with education, the education system as we know it in
the
Uganda?
Education system might not be, okay, it is also a question of its own, but the people, because there is a lot of liberalism in this country. Everyone has a free mind to decide on what, because today parents direct their children to study. Almost everything they say, I want you to study this, you must become a doctor, a pharmacist or something. You get that? So it is also back to the person himself, because it is liberal. You decide either you go for sciences or what you want anytime. But because we are stuck with the other idea that somebody must become an administrator, and after vaccinating people, we have a very big group of people who have studied the same course, which course is not available for them. So our people should now learn to study courses which are dynamic. And that is the direction that we should take currently if we are going to change this country. How? Today, if you realize, right now, somebody going for vocational and technical studies is regarded as a failure. I don't know that you're aware. But when you go back there, whoever goes to do maybe a certificate, by then it was called BCP, today it is a certificate in civil engineering. That one is a failure because he has left in senior 4. Then somebody who goes to A-level and goes and does HEL is probably the best because they have gone to A-level. But at the end of the day, this person who has gone for a certificate...
To study history and economics.
Then somebody who has gone for a certificate, who they regard as a failure, after 2 years, can get tuition for his next education. But somebody who has gone for HEL or even PEM, if they have gone to A-level, probably, they can't do anything. They are not employable.
So you see that? The only way now we can encourage young people is by ensuring career guidance is proper. And
the career guidance should not be about, you see, they say they have these teachers who are the career guidance teachers. They are not in the real life. You see that? They keep giving what they were taught to these children. They say, if you go here, you can become this, you can become this. They don't give them insights.
It is a cycle.
Yeah, they don't give them insights. I think career guidance should be about, it should be about the people who are in the system, like me who is a civil engineer, I did a diploma in civil engineering, but trust me, I am not employed by government, I am not employed by anyone.
Okay.
But I keep doing my work and I survive. And currently, if somebody phoned me and asked for 20,000, I can easily give. But somebody who went to do a course that is not getting a job currently can't.
They are still waiting for employment.
And that is the level we are at. It is very hard. The only thing to do currently, in as far as patriotism is concerned, we should also add in the concept of mobilizing people to go and study courses that are going to push them ahead. Countries like Korea, South Korea, which were at the same level with us, countries like Singapore and what? They invested in human capital, which human capital went and did courses that push the country forward. Because if it is developing, civil engineers have jobs. If it is developing, the doctors with big multitudes of people, they have jobs. But the ratio of one doctor to the population really in Uganda is sickening. Why? Because our people want to do what is simple, not what is hard. Whatever makes their life hard, they don't associate with it. As long as I can graduate and boss around the community that I have a bachelor's degree, then that is it. But if sciences is hard and it is the only thing that is leading me to a data job like civil engineering of going to panga bricks here and there, I am not going for that.
So there is also a need to challenge ourselves.
That is the tricking I told you. People have already been tricked.
Launch ourselves into new space.
Yes.
Okay, when we come back, let us relate this topic now to patriotism. Because there is patriotism, there is a bit of love, like you said, loyalty, commitment. How does a young person retool themselves with these principles in order to achieve the kind of development we are talking about? Okay. Yesterday, before we take a break, I visited Bukoto. It was Bukoto, and I had a chat with a few people there about, their understanding of patriotism aligned with development. How can they, be able to move on in life, deploying these principles of patriotism? And I was impressed. Some of them really understand what it means to be a patriot who works for yourself and for a country at large in order to achieve national dream. We have a vision that Odauk was talking about. I don't know if you can see that video. I think you can check it out, then we take a break.
Wekubiriza bavuka bannange bw'abanga alinawo akasente katonotono aleme kugenda kaspendinga either muzaala abeewo akantu katandika kamuyambe n'abantu abamwetoolodde. Senga mbadde ina obusobozi mbulina ssente nandibadde nkwata ne ssente nenziwa abavubuka abo ng'omwoyo gw'eggwanga ne beeyongera okukola ki okubaako kye batandikako.
Eggwanga lyange ndyagala kubanga nze ndi Munnayuganda ate ndabira ddala Uganda yensinga okulaba ng'ensi ennungi we mba ntunuulidde mu nsi ez'ensi nga mpulira oba ne bwe sinazituukamu naye nga ndabira ddala Uganda yesinga. Gavumenti yandisoose neegoba abantu bonna abali mu buyinza ababulankanya ensimbi z'omuwi w'omusolo, eggwanga ne lyoka ne litereera.
Ekyokwagala ensi yo omuntu yandibadde nga takeera n'agenda kukola ontegeera kiraga nti ensi yo gyagala naawe yagala kale kubanga kati omuntu akeera n'akola okolera abaana okolera family ontegeera kiringa kati bwe nkutwalako oba onjagaliza ompadde nange nga nkuvuze sibwe kiri.
Omuntu ayagala ensi asooka kweyagalayo ng'omuntu eno naawe n'otandika kwagaliza abalala ebirungi. Otadde ebyokola kati bale ng'oba olinanga edduuka lyo nga lino oba ofunye naawe n'ofunayo omulala n'omuleeta n'atandika kukola naawe nawo nga bw'afuna advice n'ogenda kukola ekirala ng'afunira nawe abantu abalala bafunirewo emirimu ensinga eyongera kukulaakulana.
Kyensinga okwagala njagala kukola mbeere bulungi ate nga nyina eddembe lyange nkola akasente kange nga nkasevinga bulungi nga tewali ankwata ku mukono nga njagala security ebeere nungi.
N'ekyokuba nti abantu tebalinamu trust mu bantu. Buli omu akola kusanyusa famire oba kukusa lubuto lwe. Terukolera kulumirirwa abantu baffe oba kitundu kyaffe. Olaba kati abantu balwanirira buli omu asikaza wuwe. Nze byendaba byebyo ebisinze okubeera ng'ekitundu kiganye okuba nga kigenda mu maaso oba enkulaakulana mu kitundu.
Gamba abantu abatayagala ggwanga bakyaliyo bangi.
Singa oba nkunyonyola entya bannange kuba wenze ompeleke n'ekizindalo ngende ku ggwanga mbulire abantu kubanga abantu enguzi eri munwe. Ono pulezidenti ono yafudde ono omugenzi ansonyiwe eggwanga lye wa Tanzania. Oyo omusajja abadde afuze ekisanja kimu naye ebintu byakuze kyokka abantu bandikyusizza kulaba ne balabira awo.
Nkulembeza nnyo obwesigwa nti bw'obanga oli muntu ng'oli mwesigwa mukana akatono k'okola buli siteepu gye weeyongerako ng'ogenda mu maaso ng'oli mwesigwa awo ensi sisuubira nti waliwo omuntu ayinza okwagala ensi ye nga talina bwesigwa mu bantu be bano aba bulijjo. Kasitoma wange bw'ajja wano okukola transaction ne bwe tuba tubaze bubi n'amanyi nti yeerabiddewo olukumi lwe ajja kujja ngambe era nange mugambe nti sebo waluleseyo kwawe imbalansi nga ndulaba weebwe faith trustworthy ebintu byenyinza okwogera mu kwagala ensi on side of my business then bwe tugendaka wabweru muno obulamu obwa bulijjo kwagala ensi yange kyafunga obwo biveeraveera ebyo ntera bijjawaawo nembikuŋŋaanya bulungi paka motoka ya kasasiro bwejja nembiteekayo. So tetugenda kukaabira nnyo simanyanga gavumenti bano abali b'enguzi bino biki abalidde ssente z'enguudo eyo nga tetunnatuukayo. Ffe abantu abaawano ensi yaffe naffe tugifuddeko tutya. So ebyo ebintu ng'ebyo nze mbikolanga kati ngano katale ennaku zino bampadde obuvunaanyizibwa zankulira security ya market ye Bukoto kuba mbeera ezo ze neetaddemu.
All right, those are some of the people I was chatting with yesterday in regard to patriotism and development. You've heard somebody saying that I think for me to be able to progress, I have to be a trustworthy person, because if I am not, who else will come to transact with me? And I think that's one of the values of patriotism. Yeah.
But I think what I picked, which is really exciting about that video clip, is that a lot of the contributions were centering on real life. You know, they're businessmen talking and they're talking about how they can do things better. And that, to me, is what should anchor the whole message of patriotism. That each one of us has to survive in this world, as individuals, as families, as communities, and that because of that, we need to look out beyond ourselves individually. And what do we see out there? It is those other people whose existence contributes to our own. And it is that mutual coexistence and mutual benefit that should be the fabric for us to knit this patriotism concept that we are talking about.
All right, you can hold it there. We take a break now for about 2-3 minutes. We'll be back shortly. All right, we're back. Thank you for staying with us. This is Uganda First. We are discussing patriotism and how we can deepen that in order to achieve socio-economic transformation. Derek Gidongo, you prefer Gidongo?
Yeah, I do.
Do you want to comment on the people we're talking about patriotism and development?
Exactly. I never want to miss a chance to talk about people who are passionate like I am, even when we have never even reached them. You see, when such a person exists somewhere, trust me, just know this sense is now moving there. People are realizing, some think just when we talk about patriotism, they plainly want to tell us it is just patriotism, love for the country. How can they teach me to love my mother? This is so broad. It is like you comparing secondary school politics to the national politics. It is very different. So at this moment, our country, if we are going to talk about love, they, like you said, the people who are participating in doing their jobs here and there. Let me tell you, there is something I read yesterday on WhatsApp. This individual said he hired black men around 4 times, but whenever he hired them, the topmost managerial position, a black man, then another black man, at the second position, another one. Now, he always tasked them to make work plans, budgets, and all that. But at every level, like I stipulated, every level manipulated. As you give you task this one, tasks the other one, the other one. The other one makes it big, another one makes it bigger, another one bigger. By the time it reaches you the topmost, the budget is just so big and extravagant that you feel you can't do it. That level of the trust thing I am talking about now. But he later decided to have Indians to manage his entity. And he says he never regretted only having Indians in his business because they are trustworthy, because they can have issues the way they are and they give to him, and he really looks at them that they are practical and he applies them. And currently it is the challenge we have. Every Ugandan thinks that they should be corrupt because they have seen somebody who is corrupt. And if you see somebody blaming people who are corrupt in government, you will only realize that they are not corrupt because they have not got chance to be corrupt. But the moment they get that chance, they can be worse. And that is now what we keep tackling. We say, but young people, we are talking about transforming our own lives. You keep blaming people that they are thieves, what, but really, if some of you got the chance, you would be worse than those who are there. So our main agenda and objective is, if we are going to transform our own society, we know corruption is one of the challenges. Like we said, there is no doubt I am happy about the level we are at, because when we're studying in primary, remember they said they could define for us, they could define the merits and demerits of an urbanized center. One of them would be congestion, it would be air pollution, it would be theft, it would be a lot of those. That was the description of that. And now when we come to our own, you realize there is a lot of that almost everywhere. You find thugs here and there. I have been attacked before. I cannot lie about that. But even being attacked, it is a bad thing. But when I get back home, I be like, it happened. But I think there is some level of excitement. And this must be coming because of this development. Now, how do we solve this challenge? How do we solve this? Now, the only way to solve that is to have young people understand the reason as to why they live, as to why they are Ugandans. Because a Kenyan is not going to come and develop here. Even when we say that USA is developed, it is not a Ugandan who went there and developed it. They did it themselves. Now, we keep comparing ourselves to different countries, but the moment we do not change ourselves, some people say people are corrupt, but it is their fathers and mothers in the houses who steal drugs in the hospitals. And they bring home, but they will never talk about their parents. A thief who is their own is not a thief. But as long as they have no relationship with them, that one is the corrupt person. So
it starts with you.
It starts with us. Realizing who we really are. Like I said in the first place, accept. We must accept our situation. That is when we shall learn to change it. If we have accepted that we have corrupt people, which is true, they are there. But how do you change that? If you get the chance, are you going to be the same?
All right, Odaok, patriotism and development among young people. How would you tell them about this to appreciate?
Now, we are talking about development in the context of this entity which I was talking about, Uganda.
Uganda, yes.
Whose creation we didn't have a part in. However, the reality that we live in today is that we are in Uganda, we are Ugandans, and that the governance issues of Uganda are in our hands. Uganda belongs to us. We have put in place a constitution ourselves. So, whereas it may be true that in the past there was that sense amongst the African people in this area that this thing called Uganda was foreign to them. The truth is that today we are the ones in charge. It's our country and it's ours. Now, there is a lag. We need to quickly get out of this sense that Uganda is not ours, to realize that this is ours and we are the ones responsible. We own it. I'm saying this because, you know, you talk about corruption. You have a home. All of us have. And I always use this example. I say, if you bought meat from the market and took it home, it's your meat, you put it in your own fridge, then you go and sleep. Can you imagine ever getting up in the middle of the night when everybody is sleeping, tiptoeing to the fridge to steal your own meat?
In Uganda, we have a whole proverb dedicated to that. Nti byampuna. Nga nyini mwabbe ennyama. So you are the owner of the home and you're stealing
and then you steal your
at the
own.
same time.
And that precisely describes what I'm talking about. There is this lack of a sense of ownership. So when you hear of corruption, it's because people feel what they are stealing or whatever they are misappropriating is not theirs. And that's the tragedy. Until we realize and appreciate that everything that belongs to Uganda as a state and as a country is ours, we shall have a challenge getting rid of corruption. So you find, for instance, I have been in government for about 35 years now. I've always had government facilities that I use to enable me to work. But many times you find a brand new car is given. I have had personal experience. I've been given brand new government vehicles. A few years down the road, another person who was given on the same day with me, his vehicle is written off.
It's in shambles.
And mine is still intact. And I begin to wonder, what's the difference?
What happens? Do we use...
And yet they are the same model. So you can't say it's
the same roads.
Yeah, same roads. So the issue is the quality of the human being. Who is this person who is handling this thing? Does he consider it painful when it hits a pothole at high speed? Does he feel some pain and therefore reduces the speed and drives more carefully? Does he feel pain when the vehicle is not serviced and therefore ensures that it's serviced? I once got a vehicle that somebody else had been using. I was transferred to a new area. So the vehicle in that district was handed to me. And a couple of days later, when I was driving out of my garage here in Kampala, I had driven to Kampala to have it serviced, the oil seals just burst, and the oil that came out was pitch black. You could see it had not been changed for over a year. Now, these are the little things that we need to pay attention. When we're talking about patriotism, this is, even now when I'm talking, I feel pained. Other people would just say, after all, it's a government thing. That is what will make the difference. If you had to talk about patriotism for socio-economic transformation, that transformation must start with the spirit of this person.
And the person who handles the vehicle in a manner that you're talking about will be the first to blame somebody else who is stealing billions. Those are thieves,
exactly.
Government should handle them, but you're also doing something that is close, or nearly more than corruption.
When we talk of patriotism for socio-economic transformation, it must start with the spiritual life. How do we feel about our country? How do we feel deep? It's like when you are from Buganda, I think. When a Chitibwa cha Buganda is played, I have seen it. You really see a true Muganda. You don't have to be told that this is a Muganda. You just see it.
The outward expression.
The response of the person and the expression. And you even see the word love written on the face. Now
we can transfer that to...
If we can broaden
to other sectors.
And see that each time the national anthem is played, what do people do? Just stand and say, by the way, it's playing. It's a by the way. So it's a very serious problem. We must get out of the historical relationship between the state of Uganda and its people and come together and realize that this is now ours. The colonial state was not ours. We had reason and correct reason to have those negative feelings. But now that we are the ones who own it and it's ours, it's about time we changed that relationship and really become spiritually one.
Each one of us should have a fair share,
exactly,
of how to take this which is ours.
And who makes
ahead
it,
without
who creates the fairness? It's ourselves. You know,
me and you.
You know, many times you'll hear people talking and say, okay, we need to do this, we need to improve Uganda, make it better. Then when you come to the critical question, so who does that?
Okay.
Government.
Let me read a few reactions from the viewers here. On screen, that's coming from WhatsApp. Following from Mbale, patriotism is key. Accept here home, but should be started at an early level, emphasized from way back in primary school. And through this, we shall transform Uganda. Ben Chigai Mbale.
I think he's emphasizing that we should start early.
Yeah,
and I agree with him.
The wording is a little mixed up, but
the message is there.
Message is there.
That we should start early, right from pre-primary. In the United States, that's what is done every morning.
Can we see like 3-4 other people? In Ntinda, this one is in Ntinda. To deepen patriotism for socio-economic transformation, there is a profound need to first recognize the challenges against patriotism. There should be strategies to act as
impetus for one to feel a sense of attachment to his or her.
Good, you can see from a distance. All right, you get his point. And one more. Emal James, Baker in Mbale. Derek, you can read that for us.
Yeah, Emal James Baker in Mbale, a member of the Patriotic Youth Volunteers. As we earlier stated by Gidongo, we are on the ground spreading and teaching young people what it means to be Ugandan. And we are glad to be given the opportunity to do so on live television, thanks to Jenge Inchi Pamoja. That is our motto as Patriotic Youth Volunteers.
Jenge
Inchi Pamoja.
Let's build the country together.
Let's build the country together.
That is an idea that we have kept on developing, by the way. I want to appreciate the Secretariat of Patriotism, because most cases, most things that we do emanate from down. So we are making a model in Mbale. We are starting up something. The idea that the previous person before Emalu, James Baker, stated that there should be something that somebody should feel a sense of attachment to his country. They should feel that and feel the homeland. That is what we are doing currently. And we are mobilizing.
I can tell from the videos you are very active there.
Yes, we are. We try so much.
How many young people are you engaging as we speak now?
As we speak, we have trained very many, close to, I think, 100,000, because we keep going to schools since 2016 when I left high school. Now, right now, the ones that now help us on the team, we are close to 45 young people that we keep training together. When we have trainings, we say today, you are going to probably Mbale says, I am a student, a former student of Mbale Senior Secondary School.
And Patriotism Co, one of those that Dawuk trained.
Yes,
back
exactly. I was then the warrant officer one, which is the rank at school, then head prefect at the same school.
Okay.
So that's when we started developing these ideas. So when we left high school, we realized we are losing touch. We are no longer together. We can't share ideas. So that's why you see we have come up with an idea, and we are proposing that Secretariat takes it up and we spread it all over the country. And that's what has always been around.
Thank you. Unfortunately, time is against us. So we have to finalize this. Your final remark on deepening patriotism for socio-economic transformation.
As we talk of deepening patriotism, it must be tied up with what we do on a daily basis to contribute to the economic development of this country. To say I am a patriot must be meaning that you are productive and you're contributing towards the modernization and transformation of your community and your country.
All right.
That to me is what will take us to where we want to go. We must link the ideas, the philosophy to the actual economic activities at individual, family and national level.
Thank you very much, Odau Paul. Derek, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me around.
All right. This is Uganda First. We'll be here next Thursday. God willing, Derek, you'll return. Dawook, no problem. You can always come back anytime.
Thank you.
And we continue the discussion. Thank you for being with us for the past 1 hour. We're going to have another program come in. I can only wish you a good afternoon. We'll meet again at 7 p.m. For NTV Akaungezi. My name is Frank Walisimbi.